background into Nathanael. He is a biomedical science graduate from St. George's University, and he also is an assistant in the Brain Injury Neurorehabilitation Services. And it is a very welcome pleasure to have him here today to share a very important talk on autism and sleep. So I happily give it away to you, Nathanael.
Thank you very much for that introduction. That was a very interesting talk, Mitchell. I learned some new stuff. I'm just going to share my screen. Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yes, we can hear you.
Get started. Oh yeah, so my talk will be on autism and sleep. So yeah, some of the learning objectives for today will be to have a basic understanding of autism, awareness of the different types of autism, what sleep is, why it's important, and then we'll look at, once we've laid the foundation after that, we'll look at how autism can affect on sleep and what can be done to enable quality sleep. So we'll start off with what autism is. So autism is also known as autism spectrum disorder, is defined by the World Health Organization as a diverse group of conditions related to the development of the brain. And this may be detected in early childhood, but more commonly later in life. So it's characterized by difficulty with social interaction and communication, or transitioning from one activity to another. However, there are many strengths that we commonly see in autism, such as excellent long-term memory, enhanced pattern recognition, attention to detail, and numerical advantages. And this is very, very important, as part of what we do at this charity is to increase the awareness of some of the strengths of autism and how we can tailor education to those with special educational learning differences. So, as I said before, the autism spectrum disorder, we have a range. We have a range of conditions such as ADHD, and the list goes on. There's a few, so it's not just one, but there's a multiple different presentations. So in terms of the prevalence of autism, so in the UK, more than 1 in 100 people are autistic. So that's around 700,000 adults and children in the UK that are autistic. And if we take that on a larger scale, globally, that's over 75 million people on autism spectrum disorder. And I'd just like to make a keynote. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but once aware of a diagnosis, there are definitely ways in which you can adapt your lifestyle habits and patterns for your ultimate best quality of life. So now we've discussed autism in a little bit of detail. I'm going to discuss sleep before then going on to linking the two. So what is sleep? So many people believe sleep to just be what's known as postural recumbence, closed eyes, and quiescence. And what this essentially means is, as you can see on the right, laying down, eyes closed, and quietness. And this is only half of the story of sleep, because we actually have a sleep cycle which lasts for 90 minutes, and this continues throughout the duration of the night. And the amount of sleep that is recommended will vary by age. So teenagers are recommended to have about 8 to 10 hours, and adults are recommended to have 7+ hours a night. So now I'll talk a little bit about the sleep cycle. So if we all look on the right-hand side of the presentation, there's a little schematic that I created. So we start off with, so sleep is split into REM and non-REM. So REM refers to rapid eye movement, and non-REM, non-rapid eye movement. So we have stage 1 non-REM, stage 2 non-REM, stage 3 non-REM, and then stage 4 REM sleep. And if we look over here on the left-hand side, there's another diagram. So this is known as a hypnogram. W stands for wakefulness, R stands for REM, and then N1, N2, and 3 all stand for non-REM. So you can see as the night progresses, the black portion, which is denoting REM sleep, increases, and during REM sleep we have higher brain activity, higher memory formation, and this is often why you usually remember dreams from the end of the night, later on in the night rather than at the start of the night. So REM, they have a lot of memory formation and high brain activity that occurs. And then in non-REM, that's why we get more hormone, immune, and glucose regulation. And in case I haven't said it before, one of these cycles, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, one of these cycles is 90 minutes long. So so why is sleep important? So sleep is important for the development of young people. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just in a public place, so there's a bit of talking. But sleep is important for the development of young people mentally, physically, and emotionally. So sleep is important for forming new memories, and lack of sleep will lead to lack of focus and will make it harder to remember things. And sleep is also involved in metabolism regulation. So what happens if you don't sleep enough or for too long? So these are some of the studies that I've looked at. So first of all, I want to go into look at the impact of sleep on mental well-being. So why is sleep a problem? So the second highest global cause of adolescent death is by suicide, and this is usually indicative by depressive symptoms such as lack of motivation and seeing no hope in life. So a study by Liu et al. Found what we call a U-shaped association between sleeping too little or too much, an increase in likelihood of depression. So as we can see in both of the graphs on the right, when sleep is too little, around like 5 hours, or it's too long, around 10 hours, then this can cause an increase in depressive symptoms. But this is also very dependent on the age that you're at. So for an adult, 5 hours would be too little, but for a teenager, maybe 6 hours would be too little. And this is all relative to your age and where you're at in life. So next we'll look at the relationship between sleep and obesity. So a study by Sante et al. 2020 suggested by the inactivity theory that a longer duration of sleep is often highly correlated with decreased physical activity, and decreased physical activity will then lead to an increase in obesity, increase in weight gain. And another reason for this is when you don't sleep enough, you're going to get a dysregulation of the release of hunger hormones such as ghrelin and leptin. So that's a bit of the relationship between sleep and obesity. But what's very important to note is that as much as sleep can lead, poor sleep or short sleep can lead to hypertension, obesity, depression, and coronary heart disease, there's what I like to call a bidirectional relationship between poor sleep and these comorbidities. So poor sleep causes increases in obesity and depression, but as a result, studies have shown that depression and obesity then go on to cause poor sleep. So it's kind of like a positive feedback loop, and which will just get worse and worse and worse unless something is done about it. So this is why something needs to be done to break the cycle of poor sleep and the comorbidities. So now we've spoken a bit about autism, a bit about sleep and why it's important. So now we're going to go on to sleep and autism. So sleep problems are very common in young people with autism, with prevalence rates approximately 50 to 80%. So that's actually a majority. This is from a study that was done about 1 to 2 years ago. So it's unlikely the statistics have changed much since then. So how can autism affect sleep? So autistic people often have trouble settling, winding down, going to sleep. They often have increased anxiety and inability to relax. Certain individuals will have irregular secretion of melatonin. So melatonin is involved in the sleep cycle. So if that is not regulated, then you have irregular sleep pattern. And then autistic people also often have sensory differences. They have increased sensitivity to light from smartphones, which will keep you awake, and also increased sensitivity to sounds, which will also keep them awake, and occasionally hypersomnia, which refers to just sleeping for too long. And this, as we previously went over, can also increase in the risk of obesity due to dysregulation of hormones and also lack of physical activity. So what can be done to improve sleep quality and sleep duration for those with autism? So improving sleep hygiene. So what sleep hygiene essentially means is setting good habits for your bedtime, essentially. So establishing a bedtime routine, blocking out light, using dark curtains, reducing mobile phone usage before bed, and if it's absolutely necessary, putting on sleep-friendly settings, finding ways to relax, such as breathing techniques, not eating too heavy before bed. So there's a range of ways in which we can tackle the sleep issues surrounding autism. As we know, those people with autism are more likely to be more anxious and find it more stressful to relax. So take an active effort to implement some of these techniques and make it a routine will be very beneficial. And so yeah, so don't diagnose yourself with autism. There's specific health questionnaires, and if you are struggling with sleep, you should always consult a healthcare professional. As we've seen earlier, there could be underlying issues causing the lack of sleep, not necessarily the lack of sleep causing the issues, as they go hand in hand. So, any questions?
What is the prevalence of autism in the UK? Do you know?
Oh yeah. So the prevalence of autism in the UK is roughly just over 1 in 100 people. So that equates to about 700,000 individuals in the UK that are living with autism day to day.
Great.
Just a quick question. Do you know how the diagnosis of autism is done? More details of it.
Yeah, so for diagnosis of autism, so it's kind of different for children and for adults a little bit. So with children, you have a healthcare professional who will more observe behavior, whereas with adults, it will more be a thing of a healthcare questionnaire. Because with adults, they will know their own habits and behaviors, whereas a child will likely say a lot of stuff that may not be entirely accurate compared to an adult. So that's why with children we observe them, with adults we fill out a questionnaire, and there's other ways that we assess them.
I also want to put in a interesting fact, if that's all right. Autism can be very different in terms of like symptoms in men and women. I didn't know that until recently.
Yes, it's a very wide spectrum. So there's different presentations, very different presentations. No two people are exactly the same with autism. So yeah.
Diagnosed in adults because they mask the symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Great. Any more questions before I ask my question? Let me wait 5 more seconds. Okay, so it was a really interesting presentation. Thank you so much. As a healthcare worker myself, during this presentation, I was reflecting on, especially in terms of autism and well-being. I have seen many individuals with autism who do unfortunately may experience depression or anxiety, and during the consultations, upon reflection, I do sort of talk about like stresses in your life that could be contributing to it. But one thing that I've learned upon reflection is that maybe I should also be addressing sleep as well, especially checking on this sleep hygiene and this sleep habits, because like you said, that could make a significant difference to the individual in themselves. In your opinion, do you feel like for healthcare workers and doctors, it should be like a routine part of our discussions with patients with well-being, not just autistic people who may be experiencing depression or anxiety, but even outside of it, just normal conversations about how sleep is going and sort of getting sleep diaries and stuff like that. What's your opinion?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. So I do think as healthcare professionals, it should definitely be something that's spoken about a lot more. Seen as if we look at how strongly sleep is related to diabetes, obesity, depression, all very large comorbidities, which will then, as a result, exacerbate other conditions, and then as a result of that, have a higher burden on the NHS and on individuals. So, if we can increase education on sleep, developing good sleep habits, and sleep hygiene, it'll definitely lead to a greater reduction in some of the cases that we see in hospitals, and it also means better recovery as well for individuals, better regulation of our metabolism. So yeah, so it's definitely something that should be spoken about. Specifically with young adults, one of the statistics I put on the PowerPoint was that suicidal ideation, suicide was the second global cause of young adults dying, and that's strongly linked with depression, and that is also strongly linked with sleep. So when young adults sleep more, they're able to have a better outlook on life, and it's just better overall. So I think it's definitely something that could be discussed more with healthcare professionals.
Yes, and it's also interesting how you relate it to physical health conditions as well, because it is important to recognize that autistic individuals can experience physical health conditions as well, as neurotypical individuals can as well, including, like you said, high blood pressure and heart disease. And it's interesting because I remember there was a study in 2021 by Hayden et al. That looks at the sort of barriers to healthcare for individuals with autism, and research has shown that individuals with autism are less likely to go into a hospital setting due to like sensory stimulation that you can experience, for example, in the very busy A&E department, or even the sort of lack of routine that a hospital may have, or sort of barriers to communication for individuals with autism. So it's interesting. Maybe at the start of an individual's journey with being diagnosed with autism, maybe it should be even better to start preventative measures by talking about sleep and engaging in the importance of sleep then, rather than waiting for things to happen and then addressing sleep as a consequence rather than as a preventative measure. So yeah, that's
It's definitely 100% prevention. It's just increasing education, which leads to better prevention, which is better than cure.
Great. Do we have any final questions at all for our guest at all? And I'll wait 10 seconds just in case there's any last questions. No? Okay, I'll take that as no more questions. Thank you very much, Nathanael, for giving such an amazing talk, and thank you everyone who's attended today for the two talks. I hope you've all learned something of use today.